It's time for Making Connections. Now, K-pop, of course, has taken the world by storm, and it's captured the heart of our guest today. So much so that he left his life behind in New York and moved to Korea to learn more about the culture behind the music. So joining me in the studio today is Edward Leary, or Eddie Leary. Would you prefer Eddie?
Yes, my name is Edward, but you can call me Eddie.
Okay, Eddie. K-pop reporter in Korea, and his work has been published on top sites like Allkpop and Kpopstarz. You've met BTS and interviewed many celebrities, ranging from Girls' Generation and Drippin' to the actor Lee Jung-jae. He's also edited the Korean Culture Dictionary, which was written and compiled by Kang Woo-sung, who was a former guest on our show as well. So good morning and welcome, Eddie.
Yeah, good morning. It's really great to meet you. And I love hearing your voice, so it's great to hear it in person.
Thank you so much. And thank you for coming in such an ungodly hour. It's pretty early in the morning, isn't it?
It's kind of early. And I traveled from Incheon, so it took a little bit of time.
Okay.
But I'm happy to be here.
Thank you so much for joining us. And it's great to meet you too, because I saw a couple of your videos and all the stuff that you've put up on your social media accounts as well. But I understand you just said it's your first time on radio?
No, not my first time on radio.
Not your first time,
not
of
my
course.
First time.
Okay.
So in USA, I used to be on KM 1660, which is another English program.
Okay.
Not as similar to this. We mostly just taught some English phrases for Korean people that want to learn English.
All right.
But yeah, now this is way more exciting, I think, to try.
Well, we're excited to have you on the show. All right, so let's get to know you a little bit. So you moved all the way from New York City.
Yes, correct.
One of the most exciting cities in the world. I love New York City. And yet you left that wonderful city, the Big Apple, because you were bitten by the K-pop bug. How did you get bitten by the K-pop bug? What was your first connection?
Well,
yeah.
Technically my first real connection when I thought about it, when I was younger in elementary school, I had some Korean friends.
Okay.
So they definitely showed me a bit of Korean culture at that time. And I don't know if you remember Morning Glory, and it's like a shopping store.
Stationery store?
The stationery store. So I think I saw a lot of things from there, and I thought everything was cute. So it built an attraction. But when it came to music, it definitely was the K-pop bug that started everything. And it was 2005 was when I first started listening to some K-pop music. 2005,
that's post-Psy, right? Is it not?
Absolutely.
Okay. Do you remember the first song that kind of caught you? I mean, 2005, it seems to have made a big impact on you.
Yeah, I used to actually listen to J-pop a lot at the time, but then I stumbled upon Super Junior's Pajama Party and Cooking. But after that, Wonder Girls' Tell Me was the song that really caught my attention. And then I fell into other groups like Sonushide, Girls' Generation, and Kara, things like that.
Okay, so you got into the whole thing. Was there someone who introduced you? Was it one of your Korean friends, or you just kind of naturally progressed from J-pop to K-pop?
Yeah, it was a natural progression, actually, because my friends never showed me any Korean music. They just showed me Korean food, usually. But actually, I just, by chance on YouTube at the time, just found it in my living room and just listened to it. And I was like, oh, this isn't Japanese. It's a little different.
Yeah. And I think from 2005, it was kind of the heyday of Korean pop, right? And especially when it started reaching out to global audiences and fans through YouTube and those mediums. But you first fell into J-pop, but then you really got into K-pop. What was it about K-pop that really, really sucked you in and made you want to learn more about it, so much so that you actually moved out here?
I felt like it was more attractive visually, and I really liked the fashion, actually. It was very realistic. It wasn't very costumey as J-pop.
Really?
MVs used to be. I think so. So actually, I really like to dress that way, as you can see. I wish this was a live camera.
Well, we do have camera, actually. We're live streaming on YouTube.
But, so there we go.
Yes, there you go. Yeah.
But so actually, I feel like it's a lot more realistic to imitate in comparison
that is
to
true.
J-pop
You can
style.
carry it off in real life. It's just a kind of a more stylish version of everyday fashion.
Yeah, it's like a big upgraded boost, whereas J-pop is just a little more whimsical, and I do enjoy that concept, but I can casually imitate K-pop fashion every day. So it captured my eye very easily.
Yeah, the visual is a big sort of element of K-pop, and I think it's reach around the world as well. So, but being a fan and then deciding to up and move all the way from New York City to Korea is another huge thing. Did you have a job lined up? Did you kind of up and leave and think, I'm going to I'm going to work in K-pop. I'm going to do something related to K-pop.
Yeah.
How did you make the move, though?
So I've been working in the K-pop industry for almost 8 years now. So I already had my job as a writer. But when I came here, the easiest transition for anyone is English teaching.
Of course.
So I did do that just so I'm an adult, so I should be prepared when just coming here. So I came in through that route. And now I'm able to do my reporting, and I'm still working with Kpopstarz and doing some other freelance reporting as well and connecting companies abroad.
Right. I heard, though, in that writing kind of discovered you. It wasn't you who sought out writing.
Yeah.
I think because I've seen some of your videos, and you are an amazing dancer and quite a skilled singer as well. I think the dancing is probably...
Dancing's better.
I've seen more of your dancing maybe as well. But so how did writing discover you?
Well, actually, in USA at the time in college, a lot of people were doing internships, but it wasn't really my interest. I just wanted to network and get to just jump into my career more easily. So I
What were you studying, by the way?
Oh, I studied media communications and entertainment. So I used to practice a lot of radio shows like this. And at that time, I was at like a bar/restaurant, and I was just chatting with some women and some men just casually. And one of them by chance knew a Korean woman who owned a magazine. She was a publisher. And when I expressed my interest in K-pop music, he said, "Oh, I think you'd be a great fit. You should meet." And then we met, and since 2014, I was working.
Wow. So you're a reporter. You're writing for that magazine.
Yeah, since 2014.
Okay. So let's talk about some of the perks that you get from being a reporter, because we know that contrary to the glamorous sort of maybe look of journalism and reporting, it can be quite a very difficult job. And the most rewarding part about it is not usually the pay. It's the people that you get to meet, right?
Yeah, it's not the pay.
It's not the pay. It's the people that you get to meet. So now it's time to drop some names. I mentioned BTS, Lee Jung-jae.
Yeah.
Who are some of the biggest kind of people that you have managed to interview?
Well, the perks are meeting the people, but also watching the concerts. I love being able to watch.
You get to go to a BTS concert?
Yeah, all the time. I've been to like 4.
Wow.
Yeah.
Okay.
I've
Any
been to
guests?
many.
Can you bring some guests?
Yeah, I can. I'll bring you next time. For sure. So, actually, Lee Jung-jae was the first celebrity I interviewed, shockingly enough, because he's really big.
Major star.
Yeah, he's really major, and he came to the Asian Film Festival in New York City. So I was able to interview him through that. And I interviewed like Girls' Generation, Teen Tops, Honey, a variety of people. And nowadays, a lot of new groups like P1 Harmony, Treasure, things like that.
You kind of say it very casually. Were you not starstruck? I mean, Lee Jung-jae, big, very handsome. And then, Girls' Generation, huge star. And you're also a K-pop fan. So do you not get starstruck and like tongue-tied when you meet these people?
I don't get tongue-tied, that's for sure. But it is like starstruck. And I just want to share my love for them because I want them to know that there's lots of fans who love them the same way I do.
Right.
So I feel like I'm almost like a beacon to show them like, here's like your fans' love, you know? And I love them the same way. But no, I'm never shy because I want to be entertainer as well. So I try to carry the same air and confidence as them.
And I imagine that makes them more comfortable with you as well.
Yeah.
So as you are kind of a fan, like you say yourself, I guess your interview style would be different. The questions that you ask would be like the ones that the fans are most eager to know as well.
Yeah. And I usually post them in groups and forums and try to capture fans' ideas and opinions so I can share them with the audiences as well and with the entertainers as well.
Do you have any favorite interviews? I want to ask you about your worst interview because that could be putting someone on the spot, but like your favorite or the funny interview.
I mean, I can tell you like 2. So actually my favorite one was with Mont. They're a boy group that are fairly new. Okay. But they were on Mix 9 and I interviewed them in New York for their world tour. But I interviewed them again in Korea. And during their world tour in New York City, it was my birthday. And they sang happy birthday to me.
Oh, nice.
It was so sweet. I was really like falling in love in that moment. But when I saw them again in Korea, they remembered who I was. So I felt very honored by that. And actually, I feel like the worst interview technically was Lee Jung-jae.
The first one.
Because I was prepared, but he had mumbled in Korean that the questions are very repetitive. Like 계속 똑같아. Like that.
He said that?
Yeah, a little bit kind of like just secretly to the translator.
Okay.
But I understood it. So I was thinking like, I should prepare more. So I wasn't even hurt. I just really thank him that I was able to realize like, yeah, maybe like the last interview he had, my questions were the same. So I should really make something new. So now, anytime I interview someone, I try to make it really refreshing.
So that was a learning experience. It was your first interview.
Yeah,
I mean, let's
he
give
wouldn't
him a break.
know.
And he, of course, has been through thousands of interviews.
Yeah,
So
exactly.
he has probably heard every question as well. I was going to ask you about what language you interviewed in, because I imagine your Korean is pretty good as well. And nowadays, especially the artists have been trained in at least English, if not other languages as well. What language do you usually use?
Usually it's English. I
Okay.
can speak some Korean,
Right.
and they usually have a translator. If it's through email, I'll write them the questions in Korean and translate it later. So some interviews you can see they're in Korean and English as well, but generally it's in English.
And have you been able to talk to them generally in English directly, or their English is good enough now? Especially the major stars, right?
Yeah, usually nowadays there's a foreign member or a mixed race member
someone who could speak
gyopo,
English
something like that.
perfectly,
Yeah, so they could speak English and it's easy to communicate with them. But generally they have a translator, and I appreciate that because I want everyone to feel collectively involved. So I try to always translate my questions first, say it in Korean, and then just listen to them.
Very good. For purely maybe personal reasons and a little bit for our listeners as well, because we know we have a lot of BTS fans. You said you met BTS.
Yes.
You interviewed them. Tell me what that was like.
So I was very lucky to meet them at a concert and do some concert coverage for them. And they have a small...
In Korea or?
No, it was in USA, like in 2014. But
Wow, so quite a while ago.
yeah, but there was actually a really major issue at that time where there was a gun threat violence for that concert. So we were evacuated. So I wasn't able to actually complete the interview with them.
No.
But during that time, there was a photo shoot part, but I was actually kind of big regret. I was really tired, so I thought I'll just do some other time. But now they're really, really, really,
They're
really
huge
big.
now, right.
So technically, I have a small regret. Like I should have done the photo shoot afterward as well. But I was able to see them, and I've gone to continuous concerts and through KCON during our press releases. I was able to speak with them as well.
That's amazing. Just to get that close to them, right? And,
Yeah.
Do you have a kind of a sense now that you've been covering this for a while, and as a fan yourself, when you meet someone, do you know whether they're going to be kind of big or not? I mean, you met BTS when they were 2014, so I think very early in their career,
Very
right?
early on, yeah.
Did you have an idea that they can become this big, like sell out stadiums all around the world?
No. To be honest, no. It's not that I doubted their skill. It's just that the way K-pop was progressing, it was kind of just hard to predict for me personally. I know there's other professionals who really hit the mark and knew what was going to happen. But a lot of times people were suggesting that Chinese pop or Chinese culture was going to take over.
Right.
But I still had confidence in Korea. And I think just other rising artists like Big Bang and Girls' Generation who opened the door for BTS created this platform for them.
Yeah, I mean, even before Big Bang and Girls' Generation, there was Rain, there was Boa, there was like the first generation as well, or even maybe before them as well. I think a lot of us kind of thought that, after J-pop had its days or years, now it's K-pop, and then K-pop will run its course, and then maybe it will be C-pop. I don't know if you call it that or
like C-pop, Mando-pop.
Yeah.
But, K-pop's having its decade, I think.
It seems to be kind of really maintaining or sustaining that kind of pull. Do you know why it is like this? I mean, is it the system? Is it these huge management firms, and they're very savvy in how they manage not only their artists, but also the fans? What do you think is kind of like the secret to their longevity?
Oh, well, there's a lot to say. I definitely think it's the system as well. The productions and promotions are really great. For example, with Psy, they promoted things very well for his music. So he was able to grow internationally. However, I do believe it's in the K-food. This is really a big deal for foreign fans, and the culture and history, because Korea is really connected and tied with USA. And I feel like this country is highly developed to be catering to the English language more than Japan and China. So
Why? Why is that?
I guess just because of history and being allies and connecting and developing the same democracy as USA, I believe Korea was able to create a huge tie, and they had still have a lot of respect for USA. So I think because they generally work hard to speak English and make things available in English, and they were able to restart their country, from like I'd say 1960s, they were able to redevelop everything to be the huge mecca that Seoul is today.
Okay.
They kept English and America in mind.
Very true.
So I think it makes it easier for English-speaking countries to connect with Korea and learn about the culture more and more.
You have stressed the importance of English. Do you think they're doing enough, like the Korean artists or maybe the management companies behind them, or maybe even the government? Do you think they're doing enough to promote Korean culture and Korean pop to the global audience, or could they be doing more? In what area?
I think these days they are doing more. But I also believe they can be more open to smaller companies and fans and outlets. Because as a reporter, I work for bigger ones, but even sometimes I get turned down as well for interviews. And I know there's other people who get turned down as well. And I have connections in India, Singapore, France, Germany, and even in Latin America. There's like so many fans. And I speak Spanish and speak with them as well. And I know that they want to interview them. So I think if they tap into those markets, not just the English-speaking ones, it'll be really great.
All right. I wanted to share some messages from our listeners. And we also asked them the question of the day, which was like, if you could interview any K-pop star, who would it be and why?
Yeah.
So there were a couple saying BTS. 6973 also saying BTS. 재능과 노력으로 하나씩 성취해 가는 걸 보면 감동입니다. 세상에 선한 영향력을 주는 우리의 세븐 험블 보이즈 보라 합니다. 5월 26일 9개국 모모 도날드에서 BTS 메뉴가 동시 출시되는데요. 셀레브리티 메뉴 출시 1호 자랑스럽네요. I don't know if you've heard about this. They're going to come up with this new BTS menu at the Golden Arches, I believe. But I mean, that's one small example, but they're using their huge influence and their huge fans to bring about better change, I think, whether it's the environment or, bringing sort of aid to people and countries that they need it as well. Do you think that is also kind of a secret or kind of what makes K-pop stars kind of unique as well and more loved by their fans?
I think so. I think because it's more broadcasted. There's a lot of foreign or international artists in America that they do help communities as well. I guess it's just not as boasted on the internet. But I do believe that there's, for example, like Chae Siwon from Super Junior, he's really big with UNICEF. And I think there's lots of stars that they're very dedicated to these organizations and really want to help and always do more because they know that they're being watched. And being an idol, there's a definition of trying to influence other people to do the right thing. And I believe by doing that, they're inspiring people a lot.
It sounds like you are definitely talking from not only an interviewer, but from a fan's perspective as well. So let me ask you, again, maybe the question of the day for you as well. Is there a star that you have yet to meet and you want to meet more than anyone?
Yeah.
Who would that be?
Definitely, I have two in mind.
Okay.
One, I mean, if I can go back in time, it would be Kara for sure.
Kara,
I love them. But the most current ones would be Red Velvet. I went to their concert, but I didn't get to interview them.
Okay.
And Monster X Wono, because he is very popular. And unfortunately, after this, fortunately, after this, I have to go to a meeting to talk with his management about interviewing him. So I hope I get it, because I think a lot of girls will be jealous of me to chat with him, because he's really like popular these days.
Excellent. Yeah, you have to get them when they're kind of on the rise, right? Not when they're too high up there. What about for you personally, or maybe even professionally? What are you looking forward to?
As in, what am I looking forward to?
Career-wise, yeah.
Career-wise.
Or maybe, might be branching out into dancing or on a professional level.
Oh, I mean, I was...
It seems like you have a very creative side to yourself.
I do, and I love variety. And I was an extra in a K-pop MV twice. So I would love to be in another K-pop MV as a real backup dancer. I was a bartender in one of them.
Oh, okay.
And I want to be an entertainer on variety shows and something to your sketchbook, where he kind of...
You hear sketchbook, yeah?
Yes, that one exactly. Where he has guests come on and he speaks with them about their music and lets them perform in a very natural and comfortable setting, really up close with the fans.
Okay.
So if I can even have a chance to work on that or even host something like that in Korea, it would be wonderful.
All right. Well, I wish you the best of luck with that, and best of luck with all the interviews and the work that you'll be doing in the future. Edward or Eddie Leary, thanks so much for coming in and talking with us.
Yes, thank you so much. It was lots of fun. So bye-bye.
Thank you.